sports. Let's check in with Cheetah. Cheetah, how's it feeling for people getting out the door right now?
It is cold, okay? Grab those coats, guys. I mean, we are talking temperatures about 15 to 25 degrees colder compared to yesterday morning at this time. Widespread temperatures in the 40s, and now we're even tracking a few upper 30s. So it is a chilly start to the day. We're also tracking widespread light scattered showers. Now I'm going to zoom in on a couple different neighborhoods, especially on the north side, still catching a few moderate downpours, and that's centered pretty much right along 45. You can see that east and west of 45, but just know, getting on the roadways this morning, they're going to be slick, they're going to be wet, and a lot of you are going to have to use your windshield wipers, picking up the kids, taking them to school, heading into work this morning. So that means a slower commute in. You know that. Temperatures in the 40s this morning. Rain chances will slightly increase as we head into your midday and early afternoon. Then they should be tapering off by this evening as we head into tomorrow. We'll detail out a nice break for tomorrow's forecast. Coming up, that Darby, it is wet out there right now.
Yeah, you do have to be careful on the roadways because they are going to be slick, especially in your neighborhood. You live on the east side or the northeast side, we're taking a look at you. So if you travel Highway 90 and from Dayton or Crosby, you can see light showers out there towards Dayton and Crosby. I-10 still looks pretty dry for the most part, and so does 225. Now, we take a look with our Houston TransStar shot. So if you're coming in from Channelview or in from Baytown, I-10, the headlight you see, that's the inbound side here at Wayside. You can see it's dry, but if you look over here, you can see it's wet on the shoulder and on the exit ramp. So you're getting enough traffic to keep the big roads dry, but your small roads will still be wet. Just be ready for that. But travel times look fantastic. 29 minutes on I-10 from Baytown to get into downtown. Travel 90 in from Dayton or Crosby, or just 14 minutes Crosby Lynchburg into I-10 and 225 headed to the refineries. No problems this morning. 14 minutes both ways between 146 and 610.
All right, Darby, thank you. At 5:02, we're taking a live look at D.C., where lawmakers have until tomorrow to prevent a second government shutdown this year. There is plenty of optimism on Capitol Hill. The deal's close.
Yeah, over the White House, though, the president says, hey, if there's no deal on immigration, a shutdown might actually be helpful. And this morning, we want your take on this. Do you agree with the president that a government shutdown would be helpful? You can vote at khou.com/vote now, or you can do the same by opening our mobile app.
While you grab your phone, Henadoba explains why many lawmakers just don't agree with the president.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle believe they can and will avoid another government shutdown before Thursday's deadline for a budget. A deal could come as soon as today, despite the curveball President Trump threw at negotiations yesterday.
If we don't change it, let's have a shutdown. We'll do a shutdown, and it's worth it for our country. I'd love to see a shutdown if we don't get this stuff taken care of.
The president, during a White House meeting on the violent MS-13 gang, was calling for a more stringent immigration policy. Lawmakers trying to avoid a second shutdown this year seem to push past Mr. Trump's comments.
He's the only guy that finds anything good in a shutdown, so that's not helpful. But our goal here is not to play Mother May I with him.
A government shutdown is never the answer. I don't believe we're in any danger of having another government shutdown.
Senate leaders from both parties met yesterday and were optimistic that a deal could be imminent. Both sides suggested they were close on terms that would raise spending limits on the military and domestic programs.
I think we're on the way to getting an agreement, and on the way to getting an agreement very soon.
Earlier in the day, the House voted to pass a short-term government spending bill that would expire next month. It would, however, provide new funding to the military through September. Henadoba, CBS News.
All right, next week, senators are expected to introduce a bipartisan bill that would extend DACA protections in exchange for border security money. But keep in mind, this does not include the president's border wall.
All right, it is time for your morning rush. What a shock for a Houston woman. A suspected drunk driver slammed her car into the woman's apartment, breaking through the kitchen wall, knocking the woman inside to the ground. The crash happened at a complex in South Houston. Accused of stealing more than 17 grand from Little Leaguers, Christopher Vasquez faced a judge for the first time overnight. Officers picked up the former Jacinto City Little League ex-president at Hobby Airport when he returned from California yesterday. He previously told us, please have it all wrong, but wouldn't explain how. And check out what a deadly earthquake did to buildings in Taiwan. This is just one example, but the building is leaning at a 45-degree angle. After the quake, at least 5 people are dead, more than 80 are missing. It was a magnitude 6.4, and the Los Angeles quake back in 1994, that leveled buildings, and it was a 6.7 quake. Casino mogul Steve Wynn is stepping down as the CEO and chairman of his company. He's accused of sexually harassing and assaulting several women, but denies it all. Last month, he resigned from his post as finance chairman of the Republican National Committee. And guys, first the Astros, now the Rockets. James Harden and crew have their best record in franchise history through 52 games after beating the Nets last night. Of course, Harden stole the show again, scoring his 15,000th career point during the big win. And that is your Morning Rush.
And we have big news overnight ahead of the Winter Games in South Korea. Vice President Mike Pence said the U.S. will impose the toughest economic sanctions ever on North Korea. The VP will lead the U.S. delegation and made the announcement overnight while meeting with Japan's Prime Minister. Vice President Pence added he is not ruling out the possibility of meeting with North Korean leaders while at the Games. And a third big development overnight, too. Kim Jong-un is sending his sister to the Games. So will the opening ceremony turn into some sort of international incident? The North and South have agreed to march under one flag, but all this friendliness has some in our local Korean American community pretty upset. Our Michelle Choi joins us now from Hayden Park on the west side. That's where they're planning to protest all of this later this morning.
Well, Russ, I'm told dozens of folks will be out here protesting against the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his regime, a demonstration that's happening just a day before the Winter Games. Now, some are saying that North Korea is trying to steal the spotlight. Others are calling this a breakthrough for diplomacy. South Korea is gearing up for one of the biggest international events of 2018, the Winter Olympics. Or as the South's government is referring to it, the Peace Games.
It's usually a source of national pride, and this is one of those unique Olympics that's where the host nation is actually sharing the limelight with another country.
That stage will be shared with their neighbor to the north. The two nations even uniting their women's hockey team into one for the first time ever. But after a year of tensions, many are questioning this newfound friendship between North and South.
And in that sense, many of the Koreans felt like South Korea was too lenient, too open.
And with the two Koreas technically still at war, it's a delicate balancing act.
Whether that decision was right or wrong, the history will tell.
One thing that's for sure, many are hoping a unified Olympics will lead to peace on the Korean peninsula. Now, this isn't the first time North Korea has taken part in the Olympics, but given the current political climate, some are saying that their participation is in a way sort of an insurance policy when it comes to security. Russ, back to you.
I know that's been a big concern over there during the games. Michelle, thank you.
All right, 5:08 now. We want to check in with Cheetah. We saw Michelle with the umbrella. Looks like those showers are still going, Cheetah.
Oh, they still are. I know a lot of kids, I think, at the bus stop this morning are going to be standing there just like Michelle with the umbrella. And you know what? Even this afternoon. So you have to think all throughout the day today, this is pretty much what we will be tracking. I'm going to zoom in and start to show you a few different neighborhoods starting to see some moderate little downpours here. And we've been tracking this since yesterday. So some of this rain is still going to be a big nuisance as you head out the door. From the Woodlands into Woodlock, crossing over 45 northbound, seeing scattered showers. So that is going to mess up that commute, especially on the north side this morning. Now let me take you out west. If you're waking up near Katy, Addicks, Brookshire area, Headwood Village, take a look at some of these moderate, briefly heavy downpours just north of the Addicks area. That's getting a little bit closer into Jersey Village this morning, crossing over 290. Cypress area, you're tapping into some moderate moisture as well. Big picture is, even though some areas like Pearland, Friendswood, you're actually mostly dry, take a look at the additional moisture moving in from areas like Wharton into Matagorda County. That's going to continue to move north and northeast, and that will impact those areas over the next hour. So everyone's commute this morning not only will be cold, but will be wet. I'm going to show you those temperatures in a second. This is all connected to a significant cold front impacting millions of people all along portions of the East Coast. If you're traveling at all, flying out at all today, I would expect some delays because of this. This is going to interrupt some major airports here. Additional snow falling in the northeast. Take a look at the thunderstorm activity rolling through portions of Atlanta, Georgia. That'll throw through the Carolinas here today. I mean, I'm telling you, millions of people affected by the same cold front that we're talking about here locally. 40s in the forecast all throughout the day today, so it is going to be cold. Remember, we've been talking 60s and 70s, so a big drop in our temperatures today. We will see a nice little bump tomorrow, a little bit of that sunshine. It'll go a long way, right? And then rain returns for the upcoming weekend. If you are participating in any Mardi Gras activities, Darby, it is going to be a mess.